Vibe check. How's your home? I'm Delia. I am an art consultant with an unpretentious approach. I am sharing 5 tips today to create the vibe that you actually want in your home. So getting your home to be a reflection of the mood, the vibe, the feel that you actually want is really hard. If you go on Instagram, it looks super easy, but it's not. In my opinion, art is the most effective way to create the vibe. I'm going to convince you of that, but here are 5 tips that will help you really create the space that you want in your home. So the first thing that I strongly recommend, if you really want to establish a vibe pretty quickly, is to make a statement. So a lot of times the vibe is pretty off because your house is too vanilla. Don't get offended, it's not your fault. Most of us just never take the time to develop our personal style. A statement piece of art can go a long way towards establishing a really vibrant living space that actually reflects who you are. So, a statement piece needs to be either visually compelling or content rich. That doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be loud and large, though it definitely can be, and that's a very effective route. But the effect of a statement piece can be achieved by creating dynamic contrasts within your home as well. So dark on light, color in a neutral space, vice versa, calm, soft, organic, abstract, hanging in an otherwise visually stimulating room. There are lots of different ways that you can create a statement piece, and I think visual tensions are a really good way to conceptualize that. The other one is being content rich, which does not necessarily mean political or overt, though of course it also can be. Ways that content can become a statement include bringing parts of yourself forth that are not otherwise obvious or talked about. So sensuality immediately comes to mind, but so does spiritual beliefs and deep soul yearnings. A piece becomes a statement if someone walks into your space, contemplates the subject matter, and says, just kind of invites curiosity, exploration, and ideally, dialogue. A statement piece is going to say something about you that other people may not have known, or it sort of shares outward what otherwise goes unstated. The second tip for you is to make your art a whole vibe. I mentioned calming abstract in an otherwise visually stimulating or busy room. If you've been anywhere lately, you know that neutrals are people's thing right now. It is pretty trendy for most people. It's genuine for some. And if that is a genuine aesthetic, if that's a genuine compatibility with your personality, let the art that you buy lead the way into that and allow your whole home to follow. So the same can apply for the opposite. If you find that the core of who you are actually wants to be really vibrant, colorful, bold, find artwork that reflects you, and bring everything else into alignment with that. You can avoid clashing by picking a palette, but otherwise you can kind of go nuts. Let the art lead, let everything kind of follow in its wake. And don't be afraid to bring that outside of your home too. In another video I spoke about personal style. I think that it all kind of blends. You can bring that into your social media presence, into your wardrobe, into how you present yourself. Art choices can remake you if you follow them joyfully and intuitively, and you want them to. Helena Bonham Carter has this great quote that I really love. It says, "I think everything in life is art. What you do, how you dress, the way you love someone, and how you talk, your smile and your personality." I think that really encapsulates how we can live more artfully and follow our artistic direction as collectors. Third tip is to be subtle and tasteful. So if all of what I just said it's not for everyone, but you can still create a vibe through art in nuanced and unassuming ways. So incorporating art throughout your house in ways that indicate that you are thoughtful and sophisticated will very subtly and effectively create the feel of your home. I don't necessarily mean a ton of art. I just mean art in every room, or art that really is given space to breathe, art where your attention is really going to it. Typically, your approach here would be purely aesthetic art, simply beautiful to look at. Think like classical landscapes, oil paintings, soft and unassuming portraits. Nothing dramatic, nothing eye-catching, You're really just subtly infusing your house with this, and you will establish your vibe as sophisticated and classy. The fourth tip here is to focus on culture and taste making. I am totally here for this. So if you want your vibe to be that of a cultural tastemaker, art is your best friend. Collecting art from upcoming artists that really speaks to our collective contemporary experience is a super powerful way to set a vibe. The actual aesthetics may shift around a little bit as you collect, and that is okay because you are making culture and aligning with culture. It's moving all the time. It's very alive and dynamic. With this approach, you are supporting the very people who lead the way in what we like, what we think about, what we're talking about, and the kind of overall tone of our collective experience. That's really powerful. This you're going to have to really focus on or lean into collecting, being a more active art buyer who is engaging with new artists on the scene, really being a steward of their work, displaying their work. I don't think that this means that you need to buy new art every year at all. I think that the kind of surge of an artist's career is actually much more of a long-term swell than a lot of other things in the rest of our culture. We tend to stay interested and connected to the relevancy of upcoming artists for years. So it doesn't have to be an every year update, but this approach will probably require you to collect new pieces semi-regularly. It's just not as often as you think. Okay. The fifth tip I have for you to use art to really set a tone in your house is by focusing on personal narrative. The vibe is you, baby. If you already have a pretty well-established sense of who you are, what you stand for, what you connect with, and are able to really bring forth your personal story, can be a really effective way to set the tone in your home. So really connecting personally to pieces of art and making it narrative-based. You can do this through the art that you buy by connecting each piece to a meaningful component of your story, or your personality, or your sense of self, or your values. I kind of like to conceptualize it as a visual memoir, and remember that collecting tends to be over your lifetime, so allow yourself time to build that. It doesn't all have to be heartfelt and somber either. Humorous and goofy art is amazing. You can tastefully incorporate things like art from musicians who are core to your being. Variation is your friend here, and creative thinking to get there, and allowing yourself to kind of think outside of the box of what your creation is going to look like. So, for example, let's say that travel is a big part of your life. It's a value that you hold. It's something that you really prioritize in your life. It's going to get boring to fill your home with photography from every place you've visited. Make it interesting by abstracting, like buying a piece of art that is rich in a particular color that evokes a memory. I know an artist who makes art using water from various oceans and seas. The final piece doesn't actually depict those places. You don't have to have art that depicts the place, but knowing the background allows you to kind of weave your own story through it. Art is narrative, art is storytelling. So lean on that if you want to. Humans are really excellent at meaning makers. It's just what we do naturally. So definitely don't be afraid to stretch into metaphors and abstractions there. So that's it. Those are my 5 tips for creating the vibe that you want in your home through art and art curation. I hope that this was helpful for you. And if any of it piqued your curiosity and you'd like to explore your options, please consider scheduling a free consultation with me that will kind of assess where you're at and point you in the right direction in order for you to really get started as an art collector. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing. If you haven't already, be sure to do that so that you can get more videos on how to get art into your home this year.